What's up? This is Rebel Radio.
What up? What up? This is DJ Newmark.
This is Peanut Butter Wolf.
It's your boy. It's okay.
Keep checking out Rebel Radio.
Rebel Radio.
This is Rebel Radio.
We're in the place right here. Rebel Radio is going down.
Would you say Rebel Radio?
Oh, wait. Let's do it again.
Rebel Radio.
What's up, Rebels? Welcome back to Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Josh Levine. I have a very special guest for you today. Missy Suicide, the founder of Suicide Girls, the website, TV shows, movies, books, the Black Heart Burlesque series. Missy started the Suicide Girls community for people who felt outside the norm to hang out online. It also happens to have pictures of beautiful women, and she's been redefining the definition of beauty from day one. She gets letters from girls all over the world who say they didn't feel beautiful until they saw Suicide Girls. She's gonna give us some powerful lessons about her path as an entrepreneur, how she deals with the haters, the importance of hiring from within her community, the power of finding the right name for the brand. And now let's hear from Missy Suicide. Missy Suicide, I'm so excited to have you here. I've been a fan. I think, I kind of knew of Suicide Girls, but then I saw you speak at PSFK.
Oh.
Like 2007?
Yeah.
Something like that. And I was just blown away. I come out of publishing. I have a publishing background, and just your, at this point, you're sitting atop an empire.
Kind of.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what you've accomplished, even since that time. But so I've been kind of watching you from afar do your thing, and it's really amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's gonna be 15 years this year.
Wow,
Nuts.
that's crazy. Do you have? Is there like a celebration planned,
We
or?
haven't started planning. It happens in September, so we still got some time.
Well, one thing I've noticed from publishing is that you always want to celebrate these milestones, but then there's just another thing to get out, and you guys, you have books and you have events and you have TV shows, and there's just so much. Yeah.
We should throw something. Our 5-year anniversary party, actually, Paris Hilton got arrested at. So
Nice.
That was a pretty fun party.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's an accomplishment.
And our 10-year, I don't think anybody got arrested, but it was still a pretty rockin' event.
Well, there's always this year.
Yeah. So 15-year, maybe somebody needs to get arrested again.
Exactly.
Throw your name away a little bit.
That's right. Yeah, you can orchestrate that.
Yeah. Make something fun.
That's so cool.
Yeah. We've got the burlesque show. We're going to be in Germany in November.
Black Heart
Burlesque.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
very cool.
Yeah, that's been going strong for 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah, my wife wanted to go. We're going to be at Coachella.
Oh, the 19th.
The 19th, yeah.
Or the 16th.
16th.
I keep saying the 19th, but it's the 16th.
That's right.
Yeah. We're going to be touring the West Coast and Canada.
Yeah.
In late April, early May. So if you want tickets, go to blackheartburlesque.com.
Yeah, it looks awesome. The stuff I've seen online. So I want to go. I want to sort of take us back to the beginning, how you got into this crazy business. But you're also the first photographer, if I understand, right?
Yeah. So it was kind of an accident that it started. I had been living in LA and working in the .com industry in the early 2000s, 1999-ish. And
what can you say? What .com you were at?
I was at a number of different ones, as was part of the case.
Sure, of course.
But Launch, which became Yahoo Music, and Scour and Den. And
so entertainment, media entertainment stuff.
Media entertainment stuff, and then the
Did you know were you trying to be in the music and media business?
Yeah, so I was in music mainly. just because that was kind of my passion at the time.
Yeah.
And
What kind of music?
everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
What'd you grow up listening to?
I mean, I grew up listening to everything from Otis Redding to Elvis Costello to my first concert was Nirvana when I was 14.
Nice.
Yeah, like a tiny venue. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And saw Smashing Pumpkins in a 100-person venue. And
Wow.
like, yeah. So
Do you remember the first record you bought?
the first record I bought was Appetite for Destruction.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah. And I also bought Madonna's album that came out at the same time.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember which one it was. I think it was, she had like a corset, black and white.
Yeah, I think that was all of them. No, yeah,
Yeah.
I can picture it.
Yeah. But
So you're super into music.
super into music.
And then when did the idea for that to be a career?
Well, it was right when the internet was taking off, and I'd been on like IRC chats and like had been into the internet. And then when I went to college in Vermont, and I helped them to create their first website. And because I worked in the dean's office for like work study.
Yeah.
And so it was building a website, and I thought it was so much fun and so cool. And then I came out to LA for the summer to like have a summer off and hang out. And then I lost my funding to go back to school, and so I just started working, and I ended up getting an internship at Launch.
Cool.
And it quickly, I worked for Dave Goldberg, who is the most amazing mentor ever.
Nice.
He just believed in me, and like I was like literally a kid, and he totally like encouraged me and helped me to see where I could go. So that kind of spiraled into a career. And then in 2001, after the dot-com bubble burst, I was working at a semi-corporate-y job and hated it.
Sure.
It was soul-sucking. And
Hard to picture you in
yeah, well, I mean, I had this like sort of charmed career early on, in that I had utter freedom, and like my ideas were valued, and like everything was like picturesque and beautiful. And then working in this like corporate environment, I was like, fuck this. And so I was like, I'm quitting, and I'm cashing out my 401k, and I'm moving to Portland to go back to school for photography.
Nice. You weren't from Portland originally?
I am from Portland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where I grew up.
Oh,
and
nice.
And so I packed up the U-Haul and drove up to Portland, and on the way I stopped in San Francisco to stay with a friend, and she and I created this idea that we were going to make these like collage like handbags and lampshades and belts and stuff like that, and with like old magazines, and like pair like hip hop lyrics with like old fashioned magazine sort of like pin up beautiful girls and stuff.
Yeah.
And we created a website where we could upload and like sell, and like it was kind of like an early Etsy sort of like very, very base sort of thing. And and so we went to this magazine store called the Magazine, ironically enough. And I found these I was looking for like vintage fashion magazines, and I ended up finding these old Playboys. And I was so stricken by the beauty of there was one of Betty Page that Bunny Yeager had shot, and I was like, she's enjoying herself, and like she's just beautiful, and feels like she's just so comfortable and confident, and like it was like this, and she's naked, and like it really struck me. And so I bought a bunch of them, along with some fashion magazines or whatever, and I went to Portland. And I met some amazing women up there, and started to like integrate back into the scene. And one day, a friend, the first Suicide Girl actually, Rose, found the magazines, and she was like, "What's this? Your, like 13-year-old boy stash of porn?" I was like, "No." And I explained the whole concept about how I wanted to shoot pictures of women that had the same feel, like that there's just something that was lacking in today's imagery of women, that they were just so free and confident. And she was like, okay, shoot me. And so I shot some pinup photos of her. And then I shot pinup photos of her friend. And then I shot pinup photos of a girl that I knew from junior high.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I had this collection of pinup style images of these women that were really unique and beautiful and had so much to say. And they were not like anything that you saw anywhere in 2001. And so I met with my friend and Sean, who became my business partner, and we sat down and we were having coffee, and I was telling him about these, and I was like, I don't want to just use their images and like put up their images. Like I don't want to put them in a gallery show because that's like a one-time thing.
Right.
I want to give them a voice and give them a place where they can, speak their mind and share their thoughts and feelings, because these women have so much to say. And so he was like, well, let's create a website. That's what we've done in the past. Like, let's just create a website. And so we put up a website, and it was one of the first community sites that existed. And we wanted it to be sort of zine style, where like, you could just write about anything that you were passionate about, and if you had four viewers, or if you had 4,000 or 4 million,
Right.
Like it was still... it was you could talk about whatever niche you were into, and connect with people who shared your thoughts and feelings, and then the girls could express themselves. And now it seems like such a mundane concept, because everybody's like sharing their everybody takes around like their breakfast,
Right.
like but back in the day nobody was doing it, and it was the thing that we got the most flack about was, nobody's going to want to put their actual true life next to pictures of boobs. Like,
Right.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah, because the men's magazines at the time, they, like, it was all stories. Right? It was like,
it was all fake.
That's what I mean, right?
Yeah.
It was all made up,
Yeah.
about this.
Tawny loves candy, and
Right.
she loves... Yeah.
Exactly.
She likes to go on long walks in the woods with her dog. And,
Yeah. Like someone wrote that.
Yeah.
She had nothing to do with that story, right?
Yeah. Maybe she did like to go on walks in the woods with her dog, but she certainly didn't put that. That wasn't her
Right.
own words.
Yeah. Did people believe it? Like, so if you grew up reading these magazines with all this made up stuff, and then you see this site that's got real stories, like, was there a point, did people get it right away?
I think so. We launched on September 3rd, 2001. And
Interesting timing.
Yeah. And, people, we'd kind of grown an awareness around Portland. So people were starting to propagate it with, and the girls were putting their own stories, and the members also had blogs where they could share their thoughts and feelings. And then, so it was starting to grow slowly, and people were starting to get it. And then September 11th happened. And instead of being like this negative omen, it ended up being this crazy positive thing where people could share like just the harrowing loss, and like the total, everybody felt so alone, and so like their whole world was fucked up. And so they could share that and connect with people that were going through the same thing. And it really helped to build up the community, because people had a place where they could come together.
Sure. Yeah, that's amazing. So that's so interesting, because I'd almost expect there to be some sort of skepticism, like, is this I just wonder, do people have trouble figuring out where to put it? Like, is this a porn site? Is it a community site? Like, in your brain, so I'm just curious, like, did you have to kind of go through that with people, or did they just get it?
Well, no. I feel like nobody got it. Nobody understood what it was. And the fact that they were putting these naked images up online, automatically it just had to go into the porn category for people, because that was the only thing that the internet was for, was porn, you know? And, I really saw it as the images are designed to showcase how each girl feels beautiful about herself, as opposed to how the photographer wants to frame out the world, which is what 99.9% of photography in the world is about the photographer and their vision, and the model is superfluous, you know?
It's a prop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, in really trying to display how the girls feel sexiest about themselves or feel most beautiful, I saw the platform of the internet as a way to carry on that by giving the girls a platform to share their thoughts and feelings, to make it more about them, and to create a new type of art, a new type of self-expression. And, that's in and of itself seems super antithetical to porn to me.
Sure.
But I quickly learned that everybody was just like, oh, so it's a porn site, so you're doing porn.
Right.
It's like, no, not really. That's not.
Did that have implications for you personally?
It was hard to just reconcile, but it was also hard even from a business perspective, because everybody that was looking at it for the porn site aspect of it was sorely disappointed, because it's just nudity. It's not anything that's graphic. And at the time in 2001, if you were a porn site on the internet, you were trying to be as graphic as possible. And so we were this tame site for porn, in which we didn't even want to be. We didn't want to be associated in that realm at all. And it wasn't really, because it was on the internet, which was this sort of new kid platform. It wasn't considered art, and there wasn't any other community site online. So it was just floating in its own category, and people didn't really understand what it was.
So when you do that, I mean, again, we sit here now and there's, millions of fans around the world, on your site, on Facebook, on Instagram, it really is an empire.
Yeah, there's 20 million social network followers.
Yeah. So how much of that was the vision from the beginning? You and Sean sat there over a cup of coffee, was this obviously you didn't know we're going to have, 6 million people on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Which didn't exist at the time, but.
Yeah, if it was, then perhaps I would have started Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. But how big was the vision when you started?
I mean, the vision was that we saw this potential in the internet as a platform to bring people together, because we'd both, been on message boards in the past, and we'd worked on community sort of sites, and saw the very the nugget of something happening. And so we felt like this was a place that people could come together. And if you were to create a place that people who felt outside the norm could come and hang out and have as their sort of home online. And if there's 3 people that feel like you in your small town, and there's 3 people in every small town in the world, that's an impressive number. And you're likely to create cool things and meet amazing people and change your life. And so we had the grand vision of it being something that people could use to come together, but we didn't see it happening exactly as it has.
Sure. Yeah. I wonder, because it
felt like a pipe dream a little bit.
Yeah. The startup world now is all about the pivot, right? And it's all about this idea that, you're going to start and you don't know what's going to happen. So they, that world has worked really hard to kind of get people in that mindset that things are just going to change no matter what you think. And so was that is that how you saw the business unfolding? Is this series of pivots, or was it more sort of natural than that?
I mean, I feel like we had a very true vision from the beginning and held true to our ideals. I think that our vision for starting it was the same as it is today. And, and that we've adapted to the new technologies and the way that people are using the site. And but we've always had the community input, and how people want to do things or what they want to see. We've always taken into account and tried to accommodate it. So I don't see it as like a series of strategical pivots.
Right.
I feel like it's more like a clear-cut path that adapts to this living organism that we created in the community.
Yeah. So what about, now we're 15 years later, the entire landscape's changed, obviously. Right, your competition's changed, your place in the world has changed. And I think, sounds like you set out to start a conversation that wasn't really being had at scale, right? It was being had in small towns and, in bedrooms and in coffee shops, right? And so you allowed that to really flourish and happen in a more public venue. Do you think about how the need for what you do has changed? Or is it still the same mission?
I think that it's still the same mission that, celebrating how the woman feels beautiful about herself. And I feel like it's, the message has evolved kind of as, people are more accepting of tattoos these days. People are more accepting of, feminism is a big topic.
Sure.
Where we've got a strong candidate for a potential female president, you know. And I feel like it's definitely an evolution in that sense. But I still think that there's still quite a place for, there's still a lot more that we can go with it, with the same vision and the same messaging.
Yeah, I'm curious, how much, it certainly has become much more topical, and even, in the brand world with, whether it's Dove or Sports Illustrated, right? More mainstream entities are starting to recognize this broader definition of beauty.
Mm-hmm. Which is amazing. But there's still so much farther to go.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I mean, I get emails every day from girls from around the world that say that they didn't feel beautiful until they saw the girls on Suicide Girls that looked like them, and that that the girls in the images not only were being celebrated by others as being beautiful, but in their you can tell in their faces that they feel beautiful, and how that impacted everybody's life. And it's there's still, I feel like, it's great that Sports Illustrated and Dove and companies are starting to portray more real women and more just a more diverse range of beauty, but there's still so much more that can be done.
Yeah, of course.
And I feel like it's intrinsic to the way that women grow up, and there's so much more that women need to know, just to feel beautiful and to not have this sort of lesser than or feeling of having their particular hang-ups be the thing that defines them instead of the things that make them great.
Sure. So how important is that feedback for you? In fueling your energy, when you see these comments from people, is that necessary for you?
It definitely is validating, and it keeps me going. It keeps me inspired to keep doing more and keep pushing more boundaries and keep doing as much as I can to make a difference and make an impact. And it just I think that I would still be doing what I'm doing, but having that feedback just makes me more passionate.
Sure.
And trying different mediums and to express the message and all that.
We had a guest on recently, this comedian Brandon Wardell. I don't know if you know Brandon, but he talked about the dangers of only paying attention to the positive comments and kind of just tuning out the haters.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure you guys get a lot of both, I would imagine.
Yes. Mainly on social media, but
yeah, sure.
But yeah, our community tends to be pretty supportive. I mean, they tell me what is up. Like if there's something that they're not happy with, they'll definitely let me know.
What's been something that they've helped steer you in the right direction?
Everything from like the way that groups are handled to chat on the site to you know, the community tells us which girls become suicide girls. They have been a say in that.
Yeah.
And so the community is really vocal and really active, but they're really respectful too at the same time. Like which is kind of rare because on like Instagram, you can't post a photo with your grandmother without getting, you know, her called a slag or you know, whatever. It's like people are just awful, like fucking awful online.
Totally.
And but on Suicide Girls, people post naked photos of themselves, and there's rarely like one comment that's semi unsupportive, you know, like
sure.
So I feel like that's great. But I mean, we do read all of the hater stuff too.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's important to see, but see the haters. But I feel like for the most part, it's noise. You know, like it's.
How do you filter? How do you know what to pay attention to and what to ignore?
It's interesting because like we do Facebook streaming now, with live streams.
Yeah.
And the other day I did one, and like there were haters that called out like the specific things that I was insecure about, like your eyebrows. What's up with those? Like, and I was like, fuck, man.
Right.
I didn't do my eyebrows
about you
today. Yeah.
Oh,
and it
goodness.
was like, like they just know how to somehow hone in on the things that you're the most insecure about.
Sure.
And so it's hard to filter that out, but at the same time, it's like, you know, you can kind of, in retrospect, it's like, you can say like, okay, well, you know that you didn't do your eyebrows good today.
Right.
Like, and
by the way, your eyebrows look great today.
Thanks. You can, you know, you can do better, and like just use that as something that, like, there's always some sort of kernel of truth in the hater speech for the most part. I mean, some people are just dicks, but
sure.
Like, you know.
So what have you heard that, like, do you ever hear something that makes you question, you know, the mission or like what you're doing?
No.
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 Never.
No.
In 15 years, never.
I mean, I've had like periods of self-doubt where like the internet has been really mean to me. But, you know, for the most part, like there was a whole thing like 10 years ago about how I wasn't feminist and like how I shouldn't use the word feminist and all this. And I was like,
right.
You know, it's something that's so personal to so many women, and like it's and it made me feel like, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't say feminist. Maybe I shouldn't be like, you know, saying it out loud. Maybe I shouldn't, you know, even though that's how I feel, but maybe I don't want to offend other people by pushing my ideals out there. And, you know, it took a long time for me to be able to own, you know, what it is I'm doing, and like that what I am doing is a feminist ideal. And, you know, that just because that our bodies are such an intrinsic part of who we are, and to deny, you know, our sexuality and to deny our it robs us of so much power and so much, it just makes things, you have so many hangups and so much like baggage. And so, you know, to embrace it and to be attuned with it is so much more empowering than to feel shameful of it. And so, you know, it took actually speaking in front of a UCLA women's studies group for me to feel like, wow, fuck yeah, I am feminist.
That's a hardcore audience.
It was.
I know some of those UCLA women's studies.
And it was like right on the heels of like all of that, where I was like, I shouldn't feel like I can say that I'm feminist. And
What was
but I went and did it.
What was the feedback from them that helped?
There were girls in there that said that that the body positivity and that they felt empowered by the body positivity message, and that we shouldn't be separate. And it like just feeling like the embrace of other women that were studying women's studies helped to just bolster my confidence.
Yeah.
So thanks, women's studies class at UCLA.
So at the same time, you have this tribe of suicide girls that you lead.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, they look to you in some ways. And I would imagine they support you in some way, right? That there's this give and take with that community.
Yeah, I've learned so much from so many of the women. I mean, I think if you ask any suicide girl what her favorite part about being a suicide girl is, and she'll say the friendships that she's made. Yeah. Because it's such a rare supportive community, because, her whole basis is that, every woman is beautiful, and that so it takes away the competition that was dominant, I feel like, in society more so like 15 years ago, or maybe I'm just insulated by my core group of awesome suicide girls that I don't have to deal with other women.
Sure. I imagine that insulation's probably important.
Yeah. But, I just get so much love and so much support from so many of the women, and like they share their crazy, awesome stories. Like one of the girls is an MMA fighter in Italy, and one of the girls is a lawyer in Brooklyn. And like, it's just like, there's just so many, there's an architect in Australia. And like, they just have so many cool, interesting stories about how they got to where they are. And they're so unabashedly themselves and proud and confident of all of their decisions. And, it hasn't hindered them in any way in their careers. And it's so inspiring.
So you talked a little bit about the beginning and September 11th and all that. And when did you feel that that it was working, that you made it?
I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of a not negative, but like a cautious person. Okay. And so I feel like that's one of the things that I'm trying to work on in life, is just celebrating like the small victories, because I don't know, one of the things that I've realized is that there's never like that moment where everything changes and where your life is like, it's all set. Like even when things happen that are super fucking cool, you have like, it takes a lot of work to maintain or to actually implement them.
So what's something early that you're like, this is super fucking cool?
Being on Nightline.
Yeah.
Was amazing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And that was like 3 months in. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like, that was like.
And the story was positive generally?
It was generally positive. I mean, that was the first time that I was really asked the porn question, and I was thrown for a loop a little bit by it. But for the most part, it was, it was a cool experience. Like Ted Koppel, like, dude, Ted Koppel, Sure. Like he could pretty much call me.
Is he a member of the site? I don't know if you can talk about it.
I don't. Is he still alive?
I don't know. If Ted Koppel's still alive, call in. We want to hear from you.
But yeah, so that was one thing that was really cool. And then I was on CSI New York as myself.
Oh, wow. But as yourself.
As that's pretty playing badass. Myself, like in a story that was written about suicide girls. Like that's so cool. It was super, super cool, and like doused in blood, and like it was crazy.
Nice.
But yeah.
So I get it, right? That it just sort of, shit just kind of keeps going. But so what happens like the day after Nightline? Like, is the game different?
No. You have to like keep working.
Yeah.
It's always work. And even after like CSI, like it's like, okay, so the script is written, and then you've got to like arrange to have the girls fly out and like, coordinate all of that. Sure. And then like, you've got to do the filming and like be on set, and then it airs, and like we got a ton more attention, but it wasn't like, like everything in the world changed for us, at that point, and that,
Do you think about like how? Okay, we have this show coming up. I'm on CSI. Like, what's our strategy? How are we going to capitalize on this? How are we going to get more subscribers? Or like, what is the, what's the business?
I mean, for
around
sure,
that?
on every opportunity, we have to think about, how to capitalize on it and how to, and it's different for everything. But
is there one thing that you've done from a marketing perspective that really stands out as having had the biggest impact?
I mean, embracing social media has been crazy good for us.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was a decision early on, whether, people were like, oh, you shouldn't be on it. It's like competition, And I was like, no, it's great. If people are going to be spending more time online, they should know about our community. If it interests them, then they'll become members.
Mm-hmm.
And just embracing that and like, the whole boats floating theory, like the more
the
tide rising, or I don't really know what it is, but if the more boats are in the ocean, the more tide is rising, the more people, everything is floating about, and there's fish in the sea.
There's some floating and it, right.
It's, the boats.
Yes, the boat thing.
The boat thing.
That might be our first nautical reference on the show. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. One.
One for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, just embracing social media and like, every new social media that comes out, we have a strategy for, like, Periscope, we're like the number 2 or 3 followed account.
Yeah.
And Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, we just come up with different ways to utilize each one based on how the community there is absorbing information. And it's been a pretty good strategy so far.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, because the more people because our community is niche, and it is something that appeals to a limited, it's not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
When people discover it and find it, then they embrace it and they want to be a part of it, and they want to be, they don't want to have to deal with the fuck me dude on Instagram,
right.
They want to come and and have nice comments and have discussions about everything from vegan cooking to politics to hip hop music to David Bowie dying to whatever it is that they want to talk about with people that get it, not,
Have you watched, has the music changed? Like visually, you tend to associate the site with punk rock or alternative. I
feel like everybody kind of, in this day and age, everybody listens to a little bit of everything. I feel like that was kind of the case back then too. Yeah. I feel like, when we started the site, it was a post-John Hughes world where not everybody identified themselves with the subgenre of music that they listened to.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, I'm a punk rocker, I'm a raver, but back in the 80s, that was how people defined themselves.
Absolutely.
And I feel like, my favorites were, Ice Cube, Elvis Costello, the Pixies, and Dolly Parton, and
That's a great tour.
Yeah.
Good lineup.
That is a good lineup, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that would be the positivity tour.
Absolutely. Suicide Girls tour.
Yeah. We'll open for you guys if you guys want to go out.
Nice.
We'll even do it for free.
That's cool.
But and so I feel like the music has evolved and musical tastes have evolved, but David Bowie was huge and shocking death, this year, but Phife Dawg was also, had a big impact on a lot of people's lives, and it was, heartbreaking as well.
What is the impact? Because, as a teen from the 80s, when we definitely identified ourselves by genre, I'm always fascinated with, now that that's gone away, how do people organize their identity?
I feel like it's more, it's more compartmentalized because people could be into like, you could be into Superman comic books and Adventure Time and Invader Zim, and you could love Lil Wayne and love I don't know who. Why am I drawing blank? Any like number of alternative bands,
Sure.
and then or like indie bands, and then and that's like you're allowed to be more of a unique sort of free floating thing, and you can connect with other people that share those specific interests, but they don't have to share every interest anymore. And I feel like, you know, as a society, we're becoming more accepting of people because like we can relate on those granular levels.
Sure.
And we don't have to have everything else be the same. Like, whereas I feel like, you know, back in the 80s, it was like large swaths of like, you know, like either you fit in this group or you fit in this group. And
Absolutely.
there's no mixing and no in-betweens. And, you know, I feel like now people are being more accepting, and, you know, I think that the internet has a lot to do with that, both through social media and just through the access to just more people on the planet, and like, and noticing that the differences are shrinking and that they don't matter as much.
So what do you think that means for for brands and media, right? Like, you know, I think back then it was easy for brands to say,
to know who their tribe was.
Right. You know, and media, right? We could be the magazine for this and the, you know, the website for that. And now that there's so much more nuance to it, how does that change that landscape?
I feel like it's better. I mean, there's more data these days than there was, you know, like in the previous 100 years of advertising. Like there's more data in like one day now than the previous 100 years. Yeah. And it allows us to target people directly based on their interest, and not necessarily like, and to get them on what they're interested in, as opposed to like just having this like campaign of like total relatability, like the Coke campaign, or you know, the Polaroid campaign, or whatever, you know, like these things that were like these broad, everybody had a childhood, everybody can remember the magic of childhood memories, or you know, whatever. And like I feel like now it's like, well, we don't need everybody, we just need the people that are going to want to be in our community, and the people that are going to want to participate, and the 99% don't matter if we can get the 1%.
So how?
And I feel like it allows like that 1%. Well, if it was 1% of single population, it is still fairly insignificant. But once you consider it 1% of the world, you know, because everybody's connected these days, it has much more of an impact.
Interesting. You know, you said something about, you know, you're not for everybody, and I think those brands you just referenced, that like they try to be for everybody. And so have you had to kind of rein that in, or is there temptation along the way to start thinking we can broaden beyond our base? Or
I mean, our name is Suicide Girls.
Yeah.
That it just eliminates a population of like a portion of the population just without us having to do anything, you know?
Sure.
Like your grandmother is never going to be like, oh, I saw Suicide Girls the other day and that was a really fun photo set, you know?
Right.
Like it just, it is what it is.
Yeah. That helps, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And what about the perceptions about tattoos have changed so dramatically since you guys started?
They have, and I feel like the embracing of tattoos is positive for everybody. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's great for us because people see it as more of, it's not a negative anymore. Right. But you know, the whole point of a tattoo to me is that it's a marker in time of like some memory or something, so that you're marking on the inside what's going on, or on the outside what's going on the inside. And so they're not meant to be things that you're like, I'm always going to like butterflies, and so I'm going to always get a butterfly.
Right.
That's the one thing that I know that I'm never going to change, and that's the thing that I'm going to have forever and be stoked on.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, you don't have to think in those grand terms. It's like, you know, I'm 20 years old and I'm having the time of my life and I feel free and I'm happy, and I saw a butterfly across the street the other day and I want to remember that moment forever. And so I'm going to get a butterfly tattoo.
Yeah.
And in 20 years, you can be like, you know, I've outgrown butterflies, but like they're still, you know, but that memory of like being 20 and having that moment is forever indelibly put on my body.
Sure. I wonder, you know, I have a couple friends in the tattoo removal business, and I wonder
if they would say the same thing.
Well, yeah, I wonder if, I mean, one of them kind of, you know, told me his vision is a world in which tattoos are temporary, right? That you can put them on and take them off at will.
Yeah.
That obviously supports his business, but that's why he started it, because he thinks that should happen, right?
Yeah, that they can just be, I mean,
that it can be that
eventually
moment, and maybe when that moment's over, you know, the tattoo goes.
Well, eventually, if you mark every moment, you're going to run out of space,
right,
and need to start again.
Yeah.
And so that's where the tattoo removal comes in.
Sure.
But I mean, I think that if you're selective with if you can use your Instagram to mark most moments, but the ones that are extra special, you mark on your body.
Yeah.
You should have enough. There should be enough real estate for a lifetime.
Yeah.
And as you get older, you get a little bit more real estate. So.
Sure. So it's always been, you know, kind of counterculture. I was just talking to somebody, you know, guys my age, we all got our ears pierced. Mm-hmm. And, you know, in high school, that was just a thing. And, you know, our parents were all shocked. And then 10 years later, I don't think parents were shocked anymore. Right. Yeah. And then, you know, everyone started getting tattoos. Like, you know, when I was in high school, 0 people had tattoos.
Yeah, it's definitely not par for the course.
No, certainly. And it, you know, so it was very much countercultural, and this it was an act of rebellion to some extent. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that obviously I think has changed quite a bit when you see them every day. And
I mean, I still think that it's an act of rebellion, but it's more personal rebellion. Like, it's more, I don't know, I feel like they're more significant to people these days. Like, that it's more of like when you're full of teen angst and you just want to show the world what is going on inside of your head.
Right.
And you can mark it on your body and like have that. It's a little bit of a release, and like it's a little bit of, you know, it's rebellion, but it's sort of like controlled rebellion, and like in a positive sort of way. Sure. And then when you're, you know, 30 and you want to get it taken off because you're no longer that teen angsty person, and you don't want to be reminded of that, you can go see your friend.
Yeah, sure. So I just wonder, you know, what, because there's this idea that those things need to escalate, right? And, you know, you could say the same thing about the porn business, right? That, you know, what was shocking when Hugh Hefner was doing it, you know, is like that has to continue.
I don't even see Hugh Hefner as porn. You know?
Well, but he was, at the time, it was considered porn, right? We may have not considered it that, but certainly in the 60s, 70s, right?
Yeah, I see him as more of like it's more of an artistic expression, I feel like.
So what I mean, I may have the terminology wrong, but I guess what I'm saying is like, to some extent, all these things are about pushing boundaries, right? And then once those boundaries are pushed, they're no longer boundaries, right? And so
where do we go if we're in a society with no boundaries?
Well, or, you know, again, like I think, so, you know, I was starting to say, like, guys my age all got their ears pierced. Guys 10, 20 years younger than me don't get their ears pierced anymore. Mm-hmm. Because it's no longer a thing, right? It's something, you know, it might be something your dad has that's like no longer cool, right? Or it's at least not shocking. And I'm not saying the only reason people do it is to shock other people. There's obviously, we're much more complex than that, right? But as certain things start to lose their shock value, they either kind of fade away or there's the next level, right?
I mean, I feel like it's an evolution like that is of society more as a whole. I mean, like think about like the 60s and like how the kids rebelled against their parents back then, like long hair and like, you know, and wanting to be individuals and like free love and not conform and not wear a suit and tie and not join. And like the evolution of that is like you're in a hoodie and jeans and you're at work, you know, and I'm in a
much nicer sweater.
I'm in an old man sweater and jeans and like tennis shoes, you know, like it's not
sure, you know,
and it's I
had a meeting with a banker the other day and who was wearing a t-shirt and jeans.
Exactly. Like it's that's an evolution where it just became a part of society.
Right.
And so I feel like, you know, there's certain things that the boundaries get pushed and they kind of recoil a little bit, but there's certain things that just have an impact on society and allow us to like move into a different stage.
So I guess my question is, what does that mean for Suicide Girls? Does Suicide Girls continue to explore the redefining beauty, or does Suicide Girls, or is there a danger that it becomes associated with this one particular look?
I feel like, you know, we've always had girls that like had tons of tattoos, face tattoos, and girls that had 0 tattoos. Yeah. And so like from the day that we launched, we had a girl that had face tattoos and a girl that had 0 tattoos.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
You know, I feel like we're about redefining beauty and self-expression. And like, I feel like, you know, how that's going to look in 15 years, I would be a fool to say, you know, but I think that, you know, staying true to your message is the core of everything. And like, it's the most important. Like, it's what I would caution people that are, you know, in that pivot space. Like, you can pivot to adjust to what your community or what your market is requiring, but you have to stay true to your core values. Otherwise you don't have a business. You don't have a core.
Yeah. So how do you make those decisions? You know, as the site grew, like I said, you got into books and movies and TV and touring and all these sort of different businesses.
Ancillary.
Yeah. And I imagine, you know, at a certain point, opportunities just start kind of coming to you. How do you decide what fits and what's outside of the core?
I feel like it's that I'm a member of the community and that I've always been very active in it, and like that I let it inform me. And like, you know, we've been approached for everything from pillowcases to wine to popsicles, and like, you know,
nice.
And we just don't do certain things because it doesn't.
What
fit
flavor popsicle would you do?
I don't know. I think that I think we had options, but
okay.
I think probably black. But
oh yeah.
I don't know. Black cherry maybe.
Oh, black cherry.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Yeah, but and like lollipops and all kinds of like just stuff that is it's just exploitative of the brand, and we've always tried to make sure that it is natural and coming from the community within, and that it's something that a product that the community would use. And while our community, I'm not saying they don't like candy or they don't like, you know, pillowcases. Everybody sleeps with a pillowcase.
If you don't, you're just gross.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not something that they need to have Suicide Girls branded. It's not something that has that necessarily that tie-in where you're like, oh yeah, that fits. Like that's something that works. And so,
are those hard decisions to make? I mean, you know, you're essentially leaving money on the table, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it is, but at the same time, it's not destroying the core brand, and that's, you know, if you take all the small money around it, you're losing the big money of the brand. Yeah. In destroying that. So,
you know, we were talking earlier about Playboy, and I think they're a good example of taking all the wrong money along the way.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've seen them struggle probably multiple times.
Well, in the 90s, they sold off all of their of their branding to make all of those crazy products that like.
At a certain point,
energy drinks
their core business became, you know, selling sweatpants and cheap jewelry to 14-year-old girls.
Yeah. And that's
Probably not the vision.
No.
So I guess what I'm curious is, I don't know if that's one of them, but are there other businesses that you follow as models or as kind of cautionary
tales?
Yeah.
I feel like, who do we look to? Playboy, we look to Maxim to some extent, and then like Victoria's Secret and stuff like that, and even like Sports Illustrated to some extent, just because it's not their core, but the swimsuit model is.
Sure.
It's a side business.
It's pretty important for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Although none of those brands get community the way that you guys do.
it's true. I mean, and I feel like that's what Playboy was attempting to implement a bit more of, with their sort of revamp of late. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I heard that they're selling. I don't know what it's.
Yeah, I think I heard that.
I don't know the details, so I don't want to. But
Yeah, we can just make up shit. It's fine.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe you guys will buy them.
Yeah. They're selling for popsicles, right?
Yes.
To a popsicle company.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought it was interesting when I read that they're doing away with nudity.
Yeah, I feel like that was a slap in the face to women. Like, I feel like for so many decades, Playboy was, the sort of bastion of acceptable beauty, while it had a limited view of what was like the female ideal, it was still, saying that there was nothing wrong with your bodies and that you should embrace it. And like, it had a very healthy view of sexuality, and it was progressive, and it had, it was not afraid to pair, literary thought along with the nudity, and like, and it had this embracing of your body, and that your sexuality wasn't something to be ashamed of. And for them to then say that nudity was not a part of what they were all about anymore it's kind of a slap in the face to women, I feel like.
That's a really interesting perspective. I mean, that didn't occur to me, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's we've built our brand on you, and now you're not good enough.
Right. It's really interesting. I just took it that like this is their ultimate statement that they've just lost their way, because, although I got that what they did is not unique anymore the way it was when they started, but that's the way business goes. But I feel like if that's not your brand, then you don't really have a brand.
Exactly.
Like, they haven't come up with some other thing to really replace that.
Yeah, I mean, their brand was built on, all of the amazing interviews and book previews and reporting and all that, as well as like the women.
Sure. Yeah.
And I feel like they kind of tamed down both aspects of it.
Right. Yeah. And you can get that stuff elsewhere.
Yeah.
Right. You just couldn't get that combination anywhere else. Right. But you can get kind of either
Except
part.
for on Suicide Girls.
That's right. How do you make time running a company and raising a family? How do you make time to be an active participant in the community the way you described?
I feel like I take, 2 days a week where I do the feature feed on the front page and like go through the community and like see what's going on and like and comment on things and be active. And like, if I just take those 2 days, then I can, and I mean, I'm involved in other decisions,
Sure.
that come up, like messages or emails or things that happen, throughout the week. But consciously making an effort to be tied into the community at least 2 or 3 days a week is important.
That's amazing. So as a business owner, right, and you've gone from 2 people to
12
people. It's big. It's still pretty tight. It's good.
Still, yeah.
But still, you know, so I imagine you've had to evolve your style and be willing to kind of let things go.
Yes.
How's that been? What's been the hardest?
The hardest part about, I mean, I feel like being a manager is, you know, kind of like being a parent in the way that like each phase is hard.
Right.
Like giving up each phase has its own challenges. And like at first, you know, I was so meticulous that like all the shop orders that would come in when we first started the company, I would tie up with a ribbon and write a handwritten thank you note to every person that supported us, and like make sure that everything was packaged properly, and like that do quality control on all of the merch, and like and spend like hours on every email, and like just make sure that everything was top notch. And then when it just became overwhelming to run everything that way, you know, having people come in and like having the quality sort of not degrade entirely, but just not be that sort of obsessive, crazy person level of perfection.
Sure.
You know, that was hard to give up. I'm self-taught, and so explaining my process, and like when I'm asked like, why do you do it that way?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't fucking know. I just do it that way.
Right.
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't have like that teacher background, and so that was very hard to like to be able to just take a step back and like be like, okay, this is not a challenge. They're just interested in like, I don't know, you know, and like using it as a moment to like have self-reflection and be like, I don't know why I do it that way. This is the way that's worked for me.
Yeah.
And then, you know, then there've been, I mean, there's so many challenges of like mentoring people, and like, we hire girls from within the community to work for us for the most part, because, you know, both Sean and I dropped out of college, and we feel like with enough training and opportunity, you know, anybody can do anything that they set their mind to.
Yeah. And
so, you know, we for 90% of the jobs, we hire girls that are models on the site. And so that has, you know, had its challenges, and like, it's been incredibly rewarding when there's, you know, super successes, and there's been you know, there's been some disappointments and some heartaches when things don't work out the way that you had a vision for.
If you were starting now, would you still do it that way?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that it's important to be able to take it back. And I mean, I feel like it's kept us smaller probably than if we'd taken VC and like had blown it up. But at the same time, like, I don't think that I would be doing it 15 years later.
Yeah.
You know, if we'd done it differently.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's, you know, when I was originally working for all of the .coms and, you know, seeing all the crazy VC and crazy money that came in, and having everything like just turn over so quick, and like billions of dollars like just disappear, poof, and like nobody cared, and like that was that was an important lesson to me, because I was like, I don't want to just be like rich and like and not have to work. I want to do something that I'm passionate about, and like something that I love, and so, you know, I made a conscious choice to continue doing stuff that I love, and not to be, you know, fat cow. Sure. You know, like, or I guess, what is it? What's the word for
fat cat?
Fat cat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really bad with analogies.
No, I like it. I like the mixed analogies. It's better.
Yeah.
Anyone can use the regular ones.
Anybody can use the right ones.
Right. Make up your own.
They're much better when you,
Exactly.
It's like tattoos. Like,
that's right.
You just have to express yourself.
That's right.
Pick and choose. I
so
like cows better than cats anyway, so.
Yeah, cows are way better.
Yeah. They've got doughy big brown eyes and like eyelashes and stuff.
They give milk and cheese.
They give cheese, which is...
Cheese is pretty important.
And ice cream.
Right. So you talked about an early mentor. Have you had other mentors along the way? And like, Who's taught you stuff that's really important?
Well, I mean, I think Dave was huge.
What'd you learn from Dave?
I mean, Dave Goldberg was he taught me that to believe in people and to like believe in the ideas, and that, you know, if you have a good idea and you work hard enough, that you can make anything happen. And he passed away a year ago, I think. And that was devastating because he was my first boss, but he'd like helped me out throughout, you know, and
nice.
That was really hard. And then I have I found like mentors in sort of odd places, like Anthony Zeiker, who created CSI. He's just such like, you know, he's a Vegas guy, and like he's you know, he a little bit of luck goes a long way, and like, you know, you just have to celebrate the things as they come, and like and then Ken Mock, who created America's Next Top Model.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. I've been lucky to have crazy, cool mentors.
Yeah. What'd you learn from Ken?
Ken taught me that if you have a good idea, you should just go for it, no matter what if it fits in your category, if it doesn't fit in your category, if it fits in your, you know, your wheelhouse. If you think it's a good idea, just work hard on it, and you can succeed. Whereas like before, I was a bit more compartmentalized in the things that, you know, like I'm only good at this or I'm only good at that. And he's like, you know, no, you can dream bigger and do more. So
nice.
Yeah.
What sacrifices have you had to make that you weren't expecting?
I feel like a lot of the sacrifices that I made were things that I could have not done as much. Like I felt like I had to be like the serious one, like running everything and like and not enjoying the moments as much. And I feel like I could have enjoyed more. I could have let some of that go and like still been in charge.
Are you better at that now, or is that still the thing?
It's an evolution.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm definitely trying to be better at it. But like I'm writing a book right now, and in part of it I asked a couple of the girls to write chapters about how Suicide Girls has impacted their lives. And
cool.
I got one back from this model Nixon, who's been a suicide girl forever, and she's writing about all these amazing, like crazy, wild, fun times, and I'm part of it, but I don't like looking back. I'm like, oh yeah, that was fun. I should have just embraced the oddness of it a little bit more and like been more in the moment.
Yeah, I don't know if you can learn that. I think
it's only old age that
maybe, or I don't know, because I'm the same. I'm not a celebrator.
Yeah.
Like that, and you know, I have some people around me that are, but I'm not sure that you can really pick that up.
I think I've been trying for a little while and I feel like it's something that you can do.
Okay.
Like, yeah, so you should try. Like,
all right.
Pop a bottle of champagne just because you have something that might happen, or you know, like
that's a great idea.
Like,
let's do it now. James, you got that champagne?
Yeah.
I think. Well, we're coming up on our 1-year anniversary with this show, so we'll have a big.
You should have a celebration.
Celebration for that.
You should have a celebration for that. You should have a celebration for, you know, if somebody cool starts following you, you should celebrate that. Like, have a moment. Go out to dinner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm down for that. All right. I think we're to the speed round.
Oh, okay.
What's the, so you're writing a book.
Uh-huh.
What's the last great book you read?
Oh, this is going to sound really crazy because I'm reading a lot of autobiographies right now because I'm writing one.
You're writing one?
But
you steal stories from other people's autobiographies? No. You should do that.
I should just be like, okay, I'm a chapter short. I just need to just copy verbatim. This happened.
I was flying through the Himalayas. I don't know whose story that is, by the way.
Yeah, but Howard Stern's autobiography, it's surprisingly
Like
really
Private Parts?
Private Parts, yeah. It's really well written and like
It's a good movie.
yeah.
I didn't read it.
Oh, well, it's a good book too.
Yeah.
He is very insightful and like humble and honest. And
Have you done his show?
I haven't. I'm nervous too.
You are?
Yeah,
Why?
because he has such like I don't know.
I would imagine Howard would be a fan of what you do.
Probably. Yeah, I don't know why. I've never.
You said,
done the
I think
show.
you have to bring like 2 girls with you.
Yeah, and then they'd have to like make
He's
out
gonna
or
make
something.
them make out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, you can find 2 girls
Yeah, you can
down
find
for that.
yeah 2 girls that are dating or something.
Right.
So it's within their wheelhouse.
Exactly. Nice. Okay. Movie. I know it's tough because with the kids. I don't know if do you go to see the kids movies?
I do.
Yeah, I won't. I opted out of that.
You're like, no,
No.
not for me.
He has to watch my movies.
Oh. Like,
So,
what
like-
movies do you watch?
Well, no, like we watch a lot of movies like that I saw as a kid.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
a lot of 80s.
There's a couple that I'm going to caution you about.
Yeah.
Stand By Me is not for kids.
No, it's definitely not.
I remember it as like, oh, they
Yeah,
did
no.
some prankstery like
Right.
kid. No, it's
No.
they're swearing and they smoke the whole time
Yeah.
and it's not.
So we
for
watched
kids.
Bad News Bears, the
Oh,
70s one. the
yeah.
Walter
Also,
and not
these-
for kids.
Not for kids.
No.
No. Yeah, I know. We did that same thing, and they're drinking beers.
It's
They're like
12.
8-year-olds
Yeah.
drinking beers.
Yeah,
Not good.
not really.
And Goonies also. Not Goonies. Gremlins.
Oh, it's a little
Because
scary.
It's a little scary, but I was like, oh, it'll be fine because he likes kind of scary movies, and it's not super scary.
Uh-huh.
But it ruined Santa Claus because Phoebe
Really?
Cates, her dad in it. I didn't remember this, but
Yeah.
he pretends to be Santa and like gets stuck in the roof or in the chimney
No
and
way.
dies.
Oh, you're
And like
kidding.
she tells the story, and it's like, it's like the
That's
worst.
crazy.
Yeah, the worst.
So is that
So, yeah,
is that
so-
what happened?
Yeah, so we watched that and
Oh,
it ruined
no
Santa.
way.
Yeah, so
Wow. Yeah, my kid's still into Santa, so we won't.
yeah,
That's a good one.
avoid Gremlins because
Right.
that's not something you want to deal with.
Interesting. So we watched like Ghostbusters and Back to the Future. And
Yeah.
we just started watching James Bond,
Ooh,
which is all right. They're not great films, but
yeah.
it's all right. There's enough. The sex stuff, I'll like pass it. He doesn't get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if anything, he hides his eyes when they're kissing on screen.
Aw.
And the rest, but he likes the, chasing and stuff, fighting.
Yeah. That's cool. It's the last great movie that I saw. I feel like I see a lot of movies. But we've been moving house and like I haven't had TV for a very long time. So it's been a while. What did I see last? I saw The Witch. That was pretty good.
Was it?
Yeah, it was like freaky. It was like creepy. I don't know. I like startle scare movies, and
Oh, you
so
do?
it's
So
not.
does my wife.
Yeah, so it was not a startle scare movie, but it
Yeah.
was like a lasting like creepiness. I saw. This is not very lightning. I'm just failing at the lightning portion
That's all
of
right.
it. What did I see? I saw Creed. That was really good.
Okay.
I love Rocky movies.
You do?
I love boxing,
Nice.
which is pretty antithetical to who I am, but I love it. There's just something so beautiful about the amount of work that goes into perfecting boxers' bodies and the movements and
Interesting.
and like the studying and like it's like dance.
I feel like if you're a boxer, that means that you don't have very good friends. Because like somebody should have stopped you from getting punched in the face for a living.
Yeah, they have huge entourages though.
Yeah, but those people are feeding off
Yeah,
of
those
them.
people are not your friends.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely not. Do you travel with an entourage?
I don't.
No.
I mean, I'm here by myself today.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, I don't feel like I need to travel with an entourage. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank on movies. Can we come
That's
back to
okay.
it?
We don't have to worry about the movies. What about as a photographer? Are there other photographers that you're checking for? Anyone kind of up and coming that inspires you?
Oh, you had to go with the up and coming part. I had all of the.
Oh, okay. Give me
inspirations.
the old school. Who are your favorites?
Diane Arbus, Man Ray, Alfred Stieglitz. Who else?
It's a good list.
Yeah, that's a pretty good list so far.
Those are good.
There's another one that I'm completely drawing a blank on right now, but it's like they're doing a retrospective at both the Getty and LACMA this month. He shot calla lilies, and he also shot erotic male nudes.
Oh wow, not familiar with that. James is looking it up.
All right. Thanks, James. Thanks for having my back. But sometimes my brain just blanks.
Yeah, it's hard to.
It is hard to recall.
It's hard to remember.
It is.
So if I was one of your 12, if I were employee number 13, what's something I would hear you say a lot around the office?
Oh wow, what would you say? I don't know. What do I say around the office? You'd probably hear me talking about my glittery pants or my glittery shoes or my glittery something.
Glittery fingernails.
Glittery fingernails. Exactly. But I have run a pretty tight ship. Like, we use software that tracks everything. And so I have weekly meetings with all the employees. So that way I don't have to micromanage, but everything is very like I'm in constant touch with them. And like, it's very, like, they give me daily reports, and like we have ongoing projects, and we meet weekly to discuss the progress on them and all that. And
Nice.
yeah.
It's big.
Yeah.
And what about, this is not very lightning roundy. This is not a.
I know, this is the worst lightning round ever.
It kind of is.
Just saying.
No, we're gonna go with it. Just
All right.
slow lightning.
Yeah. It's like we're that slug.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Robert Mapplethorpe. Yes. Mapplethorpe.
That's a good name to remember.
It is.
Um,
Patti Smith's Just Kids was about Mapplethorpe and her starting out together.
oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
That was a good book too.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you have a partner.
Yes, I do.
How does that work? How do you divide and conquer?
I feel like it's been, we've been working together for 15 years. So we've butted heads. We've had crazy,
Of course.
crazy ideological fights, and we've had like all sorts of, times when we agreed, everything was copacetic and we were working super intrinsically together, and like it was just the two of us building up, and now I feel like we have this trust between us.
Yeah.
That is, it's so nice, to not have to just have somebody that you can count on, and like, if you can trust their opinion and just know that they're doing what's right, and like that you've worked out all the kinks along the way, and like, and that if you say can you take over this, and that they'll do it, and they'll do it well, and they'll do it to the top level, and
Yeah.
and if they ask you to do something, then you just do it, and like, because that it's right for the business, and like there's no real strife anymore. It's just,
Was there something at the beginning that helped you know that he was the right partner for you? Or was it not? I mean, it sounded like it was pretty casual.
Yeah, it was pretty casual, and it's he's just always been there for me. Like, no matter how much we fight or how much we like butted heads in the beginning, he was just always he would just always come back to the table. And so
Yeah.
that in and of itself, I think, is important.
So how do you know, and again, thinking of all these startups out there or just, people who want to start businesses, there's a lot of talk about the importance of partnerships.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you have to believe in each other as much as you believe in the idea.
Mm.
And like, just know that, and trust, and like, it's hard to just have that faith in somebody, but
yeah.
But if you just keep coming back after the arguments, then they're the right partner for you.
Yeah, that's big. Okay, last question, and I'll give you 2 choices.
Right. This is more lightning-y.
This is lightning. So, I don't know how much you're into DJs, but if you have a favorite DJ, and if not, well, do you have a favorite DJ?
Probably Major Lazer.
Major Lazer. Okay.
Does he qualify as a DJ? Or would like Steve Aoki
He's
be
not
more DJ?
We're not here to judge.
All right.
Yeah, this is a judgment-free zone.
Right.
We like Major Lazer.
Right. Disclosure, they're a duo. They're not really...
I mean, they do DJ.
They do DJ,
think. Yeah.
But they make songs.
Right. We like Disclosure.
Yes.
So if you're on a deserted island, is it desert island or deserted island? If you're on an island of any type and you can bring 3 records.
3 records?
What are they?
They're Elvis Costello, My Aim Is True, the Pixies' Doolittle, and Otis Redding's Sitting on the Dock of the Bay.
That was a lightning answer. Love it. Nice. Well, thank you so much for being here. That was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate all the wisdom, and we will keep following everything you're doing. Let's promote the socials, not that you need our help.
We're at Suicide Girls on everything, so Instagram, Suicide Girls.
And what's coming up? Blackheart Burlesque?
Blackheart Burlesque tour is coming up we've got dates throughout the year in different countries and different parts of the world, so just check out blackheartburlesque.com. And you can also follow Blackheart Burlesque on all the social to find out where we're at.
Awesome. Yeah, we may go down to San Diego and see that.
Oh, yeah, we're doing Comic-Con show. That's always my favorite.
Cool.
It's the best.
Yeah, I'll bet.
It's like always like super long and has crazy numbers that we're trying out for the next tour. And
oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the most fun show of the year.
Cool. Great.
And we're doing 2 of them this year, so 2 Comic-Con shows.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Friday
nice.
and Saturday.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll take a trip down there. Rebel Radio listeners, join us in San Diego for Blackheart Burlesque.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yo, how dope was she? I loved what she had to say. I hope you did too. I'd love to hear what you think. Hit me on Twitter at Rebel Radio Net. Hit us on Facebook or leave us a review on iTunes. Most importantly, come back next week for our interview with Michelle Tam, founder of Nom Nom Paleo. She's going to tell you how to get your fitness, your diet right, and much more.